Venerable Sachita, right?
Yes. Good morning, Ajahn, and also all this group, my Dhamma brother and sister. So I'm really appreciate all this QA mindfulness practice. So I'm really confused about when we practice. So those who are usually practice meditation. So there are so many techniques. If we summarize, there are two things. So samatha and vipassana. This is a real meditation. So samatha comes from samadhi, vipassana comes from panya. So in here, I a little confused. Where there is meditation center, they didn't mention about precept. Sila. There is three things: sila, samadhi, panya. So firstly, we should practice sila. After that, samadhi and panya. So everywhere, every teacher, so they mention only samatha and vipassana to practice meditation. So, but I don't understand why they never mention about sila. This is a precept. So without precept, we can practice meditation or not. So everyone have precept. So for human, 5 precept. For man, 2 to 7. So something like that. So without preset, so we can develop our concentration, our vipassana meditation, something like that. So I just a little bit confused about this one. Why they don't mention about sila? This is very important for our Buddhist community. So my question is how to practice meditation with the Buddhist perspective. So the Buddhist way, meditation techniques, the real meditation techniques, how to practice step by step. So thank you so much, Ajahn.
So I'll take, I have to say a few things. Samatha doesn't come from samadhi, and vipassana doesn't come from panya. Now, I'm not exactly disagreeing with you, but we have to not conflate the two. So it's true that samatha is basically samadhi, and vipassana is basically panya. But the meditation practice is both samadhi. Vipassana meditation is still samadhi, because you're actually not practicing vipassana. You cannot practice vipassana. Let's be clear about this. In vipassana meditation, no one ever practices vipassana. And this is not just a theory, not just a theoretical point. It's an important practical point, because what does vipassana mean? It means to see the 3 characteristics, really, basically, very briefly, to see anicca, dukkha, and anatta. You cannot practice that, and meditators who hear this will try to practice it, will sit down and try to see impermanence, suffering, and non-self. That's not how meditation is conducted. Vipassana is the result of vipassana meditation. I'll say it again. Vipassana is the result of vipassana meditation. The meditation itself is what? It's actually satipatthana. You don't practice vipassana, you practice satipatthana vipassana. I'm not yet answering your question, but just to be clear here what we're talking about. Samatha meditation, the result of samatha meditation is samatha. You don't actually even practice samatha. You practice meditation, kammatthana, you can say, and there's mindfulness there, but the mindfulness is not focused on paramattha dhamma. So because of that, the result is samatha. So that's why you might say that vipassana is panya and samatha is samadhi, but they are both samadhi. The difference is, if you have samadhi here, vipassana goes to the next step. Samatha does not. Samatha cannot go here. So you have samadhi Because of samadhi, then there is panya. But here, no panya. There cannot be, because you cannot see anicca, dukkha, and anatta. You cannot see clearly. So samatha only stays at samadhi. That's the point. It can never make the jump to panya, not without switching to practice vipassana. So that's the first thing. That doesn't answer your question, but I just wanted to say that technically they are both samadhi. And you're perfectly right to point out that you need sila to cultivate samadhi. You're also perfectly in your right to point out that perhaps some meditation centers de-emphasize sila. They don't require you to stop killing, stealing, lying, cheating, drugs, and alcohol. Some meditation centers, not in our traditions, of course, but some meditation centers in the world don't have a problem with drugs and alcohol, or even killing, or killing animals, insects, and so on. But truth be told, I would take issue with I would point out to you that sila is not just the precepts. And in fact, I would argue that the precepts themselves are not actually sila. The precepts themselves are guidelines. They are like, I always compare them to fence posts. If you're going to make a fence, you need posts, right? The posts tell you where the fence is going to be. But if you put up a bunch of fence posts, you're not going to keep your horses in the corral. You're not going to keep your cows in the pasture with just fence posts, because they're not the fence. That's why they are not sila. The reason why people kill is because they have the inclination to kill, because they have allowed their minds to give rise to the mind states that cause them to kill. So true sila, most especially for the purpose of cultivating samadhi, is the fourth type of sila, which is indriya, or not, I don't know, it's one of the four. It's the guarding of the faculties, indriya samvara sila. Because there's no categorical difference between hitting a person out of anger, and walking around with anger. Suppose you get angry at someone, and you stomp around the house, boom, boom, boom. We can say that is dusila, because that is action that is immoral. Walking around, every step you take with anger, when you stomp your foot out of anger, that's the same. It's not categorically different from punching someone. It is the expression of the physical expression caused by anger. There's anger in your mind, and that causes you to stomp around. It causes you to hurt people. It causes you to say things. But if you shout in your room and there's no one around to hear, if you're shouting out of anger, it's still dusila. It's still unwholesome. And most importantly, for meditation, it's still going to hurt your practice of mindfulness. So I would redirect your thinking to say that mindfulness is where we start. And mindfulness will take you through sila, samadhi, and panya. Now, I'm not saying a person who starts meditation shouldn't keep the precepts. But keeping the precepts is like putting down fence posts. If you see the fence post, you know where your fence is. And you can judge when you're crossing the fence, when you're on the wrong side of the fence. Keeping down knowing killing is, if you know that killing is wrong, then anytime you have the desire to kill something, you know you've crossed the fence. It helps you. But that's all it does. I can say, Panati Patawe Ramani Sikapadangso, and I can still go out and kill. The precept didn't help me at all. Why? Because I was too unmindful. But mindfulness takes you through all three. If you're focused on ultimate reality, when you walk, you can't walk with anger when you're mindful. You can't speak with anger. You can't hurt someone with mindfulness. So you have sila. Samadhi, because you're focused on the object clearly, seeing it as it is. Samadhi. The clarity of seeing creates an understanding of anicca, dukkha, and anatta. That's panya. So that's my idea. That's my answer for you.
Okay.